Good evening. I'd like to formally welcome everyone, including members of the gallery and press, to this council meeting. My name is Councillor Owen Sharkey. I'm the Mayor of Golden Plains Shire Council. Tonight, this council meeting is taking place within the Well in Smearsdale and is open to the public. This meeting is being recorded in accordance with Council's governance rules. This recording will be accessible to the public following tonight's meeting. I note that Councillor Hayden, Councillor Phelan and Councillor Kirby are attending the meeting online in accordance with Council's governance rules. I will check that all councillors can see and hear the meeting. Councillor Hayden, are you able to see and hear us?
I can, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hayden. We can see and hear you as well. Councillor Kirby, are you able to see and hear us?
Yes, I can.
Thank you, Councillor Kirby. Councillor Phelan, are you able to see and hear us?
I sure can. Yep.
I will now recite the opening declaration on behalf of all councillors. We, the councillors of Golden Plains Shire, declare that we will undertake on every occasion to carry out our duties in the best interest of the community, and that our conduct shall maintain the standards of the Code of Good Governance, so that we may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in this council by the people of Golden Plains Shire. Golden Plains Shire spans the traditional lands of the Wadawurrung and Eastern Maar people. Council acknowledges them as the traditional owners and the custodians of the land and pays respect to both the Wadawurrung and Eastern Maar elders, past, present and emerging. Council extends that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Golden Plains Shire. Today we recognise that it is the start of National Reconciliation Week. We remember and acknowledge the mistreatment of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who were forcefully removed from their families and communities, which we now know as the Stolen Generations. We acknowledge the strength and resilience of the Stolen Generations survivors and reflect on the ongoing journey of healing and reconciliation. Now we move on to apologies and leave of absence. Councillors, are there any apologies for this meeting or requests for leave of absence? No. Councillors, we have a resolution before us to confirm the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Council held on the Tuesday the 22nd of April 2025 and Wednesday the 23rd of April 2025 as circulated. Do I have a mover?
I'll move.
Thank you very much. Moved, Councillor Phelan. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Robbins. Thank you. Anyone like to speak against that? I'll take that. I'll put that to a vote. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Councillors, are there any declarations of conflicts of interest for tonight's meeting? No conflicts of interest. With that in mind, I'll move to first item on the agenda to tonight's item 7.1. Revenue and Rating Plan Rating Differential. Councillors, I refer you to page 6 of the agenda for this report. Take the recommendation as read. Councillors, are there any questions? No questions. Would anyone like to move a motion? I've got Councillor Robbins, and then I'll come back to you, Councillor Kirby. Councillor Robbins, moving the recommendation. Do I have anyone? I have Councillor Robbins moving the recommendation. Is anyone seconding the recommendation?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Phelan seconding the recommendation as read. Councillor Robbins.
This rating differential represents a compromise. Members of the community have a range of different views on the most equitable way to distribute the rate burden, and members of this council also differ on that. But we've done the work to come to this position. We've got the modelling done. We've gone out for consultation with our preferred option, and we've taken on the feedback. I think there's a fair amount of apprehension in households across the state about the figure that's going to appear on rate notices this year. So it's a really sensitive issue. As councillors, we all want to represent our community's interests, and we don't want any one group to shoulder a rate burden that is more than they can bear. I'm satisfied with the compromise that this rating differential represents, so I support the recommendation.
Thank you very much, Councillor Robbins. Councillor Phelan seconding the motion.
I endorse those comments. I think that we've been through the process and we've got to move on. And I think that the rating system to me, or the strategy, seems to be all good. And I'm sure that it'll be addressed again next year, but for this year is the way we've got to go.
Thank you very much, Councillor Phelan. Councillors, would anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Gamble, I'll come back to you, Councillor Kirby. Councillor Gamble.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't believe that this is a compromise, and I'm worried and concerned that one group in particular, or the farmers, are benefiting at the expense, too much at the expense of residential. There's right now we have no councillor speaking from Bannockburn, our biggest population growth area, and the financial burden on the residential is just unfair, I think. With it doesn't recognise the reality that the people that are suffering worse in our community are the young families with big mortgages that stand to lose their home with the cost of living stresses that are on them, particularly mortgage stresses. In the worst case scenarios, if they have to foreclose on their mortgage, then they lose just about everything. Whereas worst case scenarios with the farming population, they have a huge asset that they can sell. It's so I don't think it's fair that this transfer of the rating burden is put on residential to the extent it is. I was prepared to compromise to some extent, but I believe it's gone too far. To start with, we have a municipal charge. It's reduced to 200, but that's nowhere near enough. Most councils don't have it. It's considered a regressive tax that harms the poorest in our community. If one looks at the modelling that was done in the proposition paper, it's very clear how this is basically sort of like welfare for the richest members of our community. Another issue, the farm differentials being consolidated into one differential rate, I don't think that's a good move either, because intensive farming, or shed farming, as a lot of people call it, is a totally different business from broadacre farming. And I think we should acknowledge that in our categorisation of the different groups. To start with, intensive farming is not subject to the weather vagaries of broadacre farming. They get water supply. They don't have to rely on rain, for example. There's a whole lot of other issues, which makes it a very different type of business. In our council, we don't have many levers such as tourism and parking meters and a lot of other ways to generate revenue. And for us to be not to consider the we need to maximise revenue sources in a fair manner, and I don't believe that this rating plan does that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gamble. Would anyone like to speak for the motion? Anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Kirby, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'd like to put an alternate recommendation forward.
What's the
I'd like to put forward that we endorse the application for the rating differentials for all points except for items B and C. That being that item B, that we change this to 2 farm differential rates regarding intensive farms and less than 40 hectares at a rate of 95%. And item C, keep the farming broad acre at 75%.
Councillor Kirby, I missed the first part of that. Have you circulated that round to any councillors or?
Yes, I have. To the CEO and councillors.
Okay, so, yep. So there's a. Are you foreshadowing that, Councillor Kirby?
Yes.
I'll take that as a foreshadow. And if this motion is lost, I'll come back to you on that because it does differ quite different to the motion that's put. Would you like to speak against the current motion?
Yes, I just think that at the moment we're taking away the farm intensive and we're taking away the less than 40 hectares. Now, as we know, this is the farm broadacre and farming in general will be reduced to 75%. I go ahead with all Councillor Gamble's recommendations and what he just put forward. We know that the young families are the ones in the whole Shire are going to lose out on this. We know that they're going to have an increase in their rates, whereas at the moment we know that with the differentials the way they are, the average farm on a on the intensive farming, they're going to have a 17% reduction in their rates. If you own a farm less than 40 hectares, you're going to have a 19% discount on your rates. Whereas people who live in medium households or high income households are going to have higher rates on their rates notice. So that's why I'm putting this forward, that we have to look after everyone in the community. I'm definitely for the farmers, but I think that we need to have a bit of a separation, even though I'm not speaking on that at the moment. But I do believe that overall we need to have a good hard look at this, because we just cannot afford our young families to go through this and have high rates. We know that with the government new levy, this is going to put pressure, so much pressure on our young families, our households. It doesn't matter if you're a pensioner, a young family, a business person. We know that it's going to affect everyone within our communities. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kirby. Would anyone else like to speak for the motion?
Could I foreshadow that if this motion is lost?
I've got a foreshadow here now. I'm just about to close up the. About to close now. Something has been.
Can I question governance, please? If the motion is lost, I assume it goes to status quo of the previous rating differentials, unless there is a motion foreshadowing that we adopt the previous status quo.
If the motion that's currently before us is lost, we would move to petition to Councillor Kirby's foreshadowed motion. If that is then lost, the motion is lost unless another council would like to move a motion such as the recommendation again, or a different motion that's in line with those.
I foreshadowed that I will move that second motion if lost.
Come back to close now on that, and then we've got a foreshadow there. It is our requirement to adopt a rating strategy for the next. Councillor Robbins.
Thanks. I'll just acknowledge Councillor Gamble's comments about the burden on residential ratepayers. I have spoken before about not wanting the residents in the lowest valued residential properties to wear the cost of reducing the rate burden on farmers, and that's why I proposed reducing the municipal charge. I also acknowledge Councillor Gamble's comment that a municipal charge operates as a regressive tax. I also said that in our previous meeting, and I think it'd be great if we could get rid of it, but I didn't think that that was going to fly, which is why I proposed reducing the municipal charge. And that's it. Thank you.
Very much, Councillor Robbins. I will just as a point, councillors, prior to voting, just with regarding foreshadow motions we've gone for community consultation, and it is highly important that anything we model, we go to the community. So some of those models or some of those ideas that have been put forward tonight, they need community consultation. We need community consultation on them. So that's part of the process that must be adhered to as well. So, councillors, I'll put the current motion to vote. All those in favour of the recommendation? Those against? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, councillors. Thank you.
Division, please.
Division, Councillor Gamble's calling for a division. All those in favour of the motion? I've got Councillor Phelan, Councillor Robbins, Councillor Hayden, Councillor Sharkey. Those against? Councillor Gamble, Councillor Kirby. Yeah. Councillors, item 7.2, the adoption of the Golden Plains Shire Council budget. I refer councillors to page number 10 of the agenda for this report. The recommendation as read. Councillors, is there any councillor that has a question? Would anyone like to move? Councillor Kirby, is that moving the motion or a question? Sorry.
A question, please.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kirby.
Thank you. Just to the director, I did see it in the papers, and when I was going through it again, I couldn't find it. But I'm just wondering, what was the staff turnover in the last 12 months? I think it was about 15%, but can you just confirm that, please?
Through you, Chair. Councillor Kirby, the budget papers don't outline turnover. They document budgeted FTE numbers. The annual report will definitely have the turnover numbers for this year. I will need to take that on notice, but I believe it was in the vicinity of 15%, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillors, is there any further questions to the budget? Thank you very much, councillors. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hayden moving the motion. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Robbins. Thank you very much. Councillor Hayden, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, the budget focus is to balance the financial sustainability with maintaining services and continued investment in projects that are valued by our community. We've had years of rising costs and impacts from natural disasters causing damage to assets, and the rate cap set below CPI have created an increasingly challenging financial environment for all of us. The 2025-26 budget projects an operating surplus of 7.6 million and adjusted underlying surplus of 77,000, which is the operating result after deducting the capital revenue. The revenue includes rates, which are council's largest revenue source, set at a 3% maximum rate cap, and no change to the waste management charge of 447. The expenditures to continue to deliver services with a focus on efficiencies and reductions in some service levels to achieve a budget surplus. We have a capital investment of 15.3 million, and new borrowings are included to fund some intergenerational capital projects and strengthen declining cash balances, with debt levels maintained well within borrowing ratios. It's obviously been a big topic of discussion for us in council over the last few months, and I think we'll agree it's been quite a difficult thing to work on, but I feel comfortable with where we're sort of sat now. Thank you.
Very well said, Councillor Hayden. Thank you kindly. Councillor Robbins.
Adopting the budget is one of the most important. It's crucial for councillors to be comfortable with the budget position, to understand the trade-offs being made, and to feel a sense of ownership of the budget outcomes. I've interrogated this budget thoroughly, and I believe it sets out a prudent plan for the coming year. Like other councils, we face some real challenges with rising costs of providing essential services and limited ability to increase revenue. Councils are impacted by price movements in things like labour, utilities, materials and contracts. So we do have to make reductions in spending in some areas. That said, there are a number of projects in the budget for improving resealing and resheeting local roads and for new infrastructure, including a bridge replacement, curb and channel and widening of existing roads. There's 650,000 budgeted for the Northern Streetscape implementation, and I look forward to seeing some concrete outcomes from that project that we can celebrate. Some residents will be aware that we tried a different public consultation process this year, where we asked for public submissions earlier and upfront rather than waiting until we had a draft ready to exhibit. This change in approach was intended to maximise the opportunity for public submissions to influence the budget. We're going to do a review of how effective that was before we decide what our approach will be for next year. I'm ready to adopt this budget, so I second the recommendation.
Much, Councillor Robbins. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Would anyone like to, given the importance of this item, I will seek to see if anyone else would like to speak for the motion. Is there any other councillors who would like to speak to the budget? Councillor Gammon, I'll come to you, Councillor Kirby. Thank you, Councillor Gammon.
Yeah, I'd just like to acknowledge that this budget adoption is a significant milestone in the council's organisational yearly cycle, and it has involved a lot of work and a lot of input from people right across the organisation, but particularly the managers and the directors. So I'd like to thank them for all the work they've done towards it. I do have to be honest and note, however, that I do feel a bit of a lack of ownership of the budget, partially because I came in later in February into the councillor group. But I think there's, I think it's also because we've had so much going on with like this rating strategy. We've also had the leadership issues. We've had road safety issues. There's a lot of stuff that's been thrown at us. That's some of it from left field, but it's also organisationally a very busy time with the new councillor group and the council plan too. Now, that reminds me, the council plan is still open for contributions up till tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So,
with respect to the budget.
Well, I'm just mentioning that the budget is a yearly financial allocation of the priorities that are funded, but the council plan sets up that what happens in the subsequent years as well with the budget. So I think it's important to note that people can contribute in the longer term through helping with the council plan and hence organise future budgets. I just also note that in the environment area, there's There's provision of 4.6 million with waste and resource recovery strategy, including the changes in the recycling with the glass, etc. And the transitioning to the FOGO service. There's also significant money given towards the environment strategy and issues such as controlling weeds and pest animals and plant management. And there are other issues that are going to be considered later in the agenda. All in all, I think it's a pretty good budget, but I think we can do better in subsequent years. And we let the community know we're doing the best we can with the money that we have, which isn't enough for what we need to do. We're not the only council struggling with this, but we also have legacy issues that we have to deal with, and need for greater infrastructure and dealing with ongoing issues such as drainage, etc. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gamble. Is there any other Councillor Kirby? My apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, first of all, I'd just like to say that we have 1,828 businesses across the Shire. That's a vast number when we consider what, we think that we only have the businesses that we see the fronts of, but we also take into account farmers, we take into account small businesses that might work from home as well. So I just thought that was a number that I should put out there. Our total operating expenditure will be 59.7 million. And we added that we are receiving 1.6 million from wind farm income. This has been increased because we now have the Golden Plains wind farm on board, and we know that in the past we've been very fortunate to have this income come to our Shire because, as Councillor Gamble said, we do find it very hard to have to source other sources of income. $31,237 will be raised by rates. We have a future population and it's forecast to grow to 42,600 by 2041. That's a 60.66% increase. So as councillors, we have to look to the future and decide, where we're spending our money and what are the best priorities for our communities. This change in process for the draft budget has changed with the Local Government Act and now only has a budget to be adopted by the 30th of June. An early approach for asking for submissions now comes earlier in the process, and we'll be reflecting this and these processes that we put in place. This has been done before in previous councils, probably about 8 years ago, where we went out to the community and asked for their recommendations first up, so that way they were put into the budget earlier. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not we change this process and we go with the draft budget beforehand, or we stick to the one that's here now. This year, the rate cap will be 3%. However, council has and will deliver services with a reduction to some service levels. We will have new borrowings to fund capital projects. And on one hand, we're finding this very hard because we know that we need the money to fund capital projects, such as roads, such as building bridges. So there's a lot of income that we have to find. So we know that at the end of the day, we are going to have to borrow money. This will increase our cash balances by borrowing money. However, in the last 4 years, it's a shame, but we did not borrow money. So 4 years of council, we were reducing our rates, and now we're just actually increasing them again. Of the 15.3 million capital works program, 6.5 million will be used in our renewal program of assets, including new roads, rural roads and bridges, 12.2 million for that, 9.1 million on recreation, and community facilities and leisure.
Thank you very much. Just
1.5 million on parks, open spaces and streetscapes.
Councillor,
And 1.8 million on plant and machinery. So that's just a little bit of an overview of what we'll be spending in this budget. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
thank you very much, Councillor Kirby. Is there any further councillors who'd like to speak to the budget? With no one speaking against the budget, I will put it straight to a vote. All those in favour of the adoption of the Golden Plains Shire Council budget? Unanimous. Thank you very much, councillors. Thank you. Councillors, item 7.3, Q3 Finance Report. On page 18 of the agenda. Councillors, are there any questions? If there's no questions, councillors, do I have a mover of the recommendation? Moving the motion, Councillor Robbins. Seconding the motion, Councillor Hayden. Thank you very much. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you. This quarterly report is focused on giving us a view of Council's financial position and spending on capital projects and how we're tracking against forecasts. One area that caught my attention is that the actual capital spend on road and bridge projects is lower than the year-to-date forecast. So I was concerned about that because it's important that we invest in maintaining and renewing road and bridge infrastructure. The variance is because of a number of projects that were scheduled to commence in Q3 that weren't able to commence until Q4. I'm told those projects are underway now, so I'll look forward to seeing some more pleasing figures in the next quarterly report. But happy to take the report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Robbins. Well said. Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? With no councillors speaking against the motion, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour?
I'd like to speak to it.
No.
There's no allowance to do so. Those in favour of the motion recommendation? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, councillors. Item 7.4, the council plan, referring to page 27 of the agenda for this report. Councillors, are there any questions, councillors? No questions. Councillors, there is a recommendation there. Do I have a mover to the recommendation? Councillor Robbins moving the motion. Would anyone like to second the motion? If you'd like to speak to it, second the motion. Councillor Gamble, thank you very much. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you. This report is focused on tracking our progress against actions under the council plan. There has been quite a lot going on. There's drainage and open space upgrades happening at Smysedale Gardens. There's a draft management plan for the Ross Creek Reserve that's been developed. The Dereel Ropewood Junction Road widening project was completed. We had launch events for the Linton Oval reconstruction, which Councillor Hayden and I attended. The Victoria Park female-friendly change rooms, which Councillor Kirby attended, the Bannockburn Skate Bowl, which Councillor Gamble attended, the Lethbridge Bluestone Rail Station, which Councillors Sharkey and Gamble attended, and we had the implementation of the roadside weed control and annual rabbit control programs. So those are just a few highlights from the report. It's a fairly long report, but it does give you a good idea of the range of projects and services that council is delivering and how it all fits into the overarching vision and priorities. So well worth a read and happy to move that the report be noted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Robbins. Councillor Gamble, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So during the briefing session, I raised some of the actions that we're behind on. a report such as this is useful in the overview, how we're tracking, what we're doing well in and what we're behind in. And people can look at those areas, five out of 82 areas that are identified in the plan, the report, then we're identified we're being behind on. But the answers I received in the briefing meeting were satisfactory and totally within reason that we can get on track to finish off the fourth quarter with those ones being completed, such as the cultural burns happening in Bakers Lane Reserve in Teesdale. But there are some areas one particular area was we can't do design guides for sustainability purposes, the environmental design guides for buildings, because we've got a lack of funding for an officer to be able to do that work. So there are things that we just we're missing out on because of a lack of resources and funding. On the other hand, there are masses of positives and highlights in this report, including the support for the community coordinator program, support for community activation of the Lethbridge rail station, Councillor Robbins just mentioned. I was pleased to see the Pinchgut Road Bridge replacement has been completed with the formal opening, as well as the upgrade of the Teesdale and Linton Ovals. There's also signage promoting awareness and prevention of family violence. Other positives, the progress on the Ross Creek Reserve Management Plan and the Moorabool River Reserve Master Plan for Batesford, and the adoption of the Bannockburn Integrated Water Management Plan. So all in all, a good report, and it demonstrates very busy council out in the field and at home base kicking a lot of goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gamble. Councillors, is there anyone that would like to speak against the motion? No one speaking against the motion. Councillor Kirby, speaking against the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the only gripe I actually have was that we actually did the 3 streetscape programs up in the north twice, and I just think it's a bit of a shame because it's really cost our shire money by going back to the community for consultation. We did that 4 years ago, and then to have to redo it, I think, is a bit of a setback on what we did initially. But other than that, I think that all the other directions that we're taking and what we've achieved is fantastic. And I also just, for Councillor Robbins, I was at the Lethbridge opening as well. And we had a fantastic day there with Councillor Sharkey and the opening of the train station. So well done to those residents.
Right, Councillor Kirby, would anyone like to speak for the motion? Councillor Robbins, would you like to close?
Just apologise to Councillor Kirby. I wasn't aware that you were at the rail station opening. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillors, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Councillors, item 7.5. Inverleith, Fawkner, King and Argyle Park flood mitigation. Councillors, page 31 of the agenda for this report. Take the recommendation as read. Councillors, are there any questions? If there's no questions, do I have a mover of the recommendation? Councillor Gamble, thank you very much. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Kirby, thank you very much. Councillor Gamble.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to thank the officers for this rigorous selection process and noting the costs do exceed the budget allocated, but that the $208,000 is being taken from the gravel resheeting program, but that's And there's also extra money taken from the future drainage budget. But except this is a priority drainage works in itself being used for drainage activities or allied activities such as digging up the road to relocating cabling and things like that. So this recommendation in the awarding of the tender, if it passes, recognises progress. However, I would express my frustration at just how long the process has taken. I recognise it is complex and challenging work to undertake. And there are multiple options that we had to get a lot of expert opinion and drainage and consideration on. And the financial constraints also made it more difficult. So with this work, we've got to note there's opportunity costs, because this is something that perhaps shouldn't have happened if things were designed better in the past. Perhaps they might have. We can reflect. We are addressing a 2022 emergency situation where it really came to a head with houses being flooded right through their insides. As mayor at the time, then it has special significance, this situation, where all the councillors except one, but the CEO as well, visited the site, the houses, and the people affected. We had first-hand experience going through the flood-damaged housing. It also highlights the importance of getting the drainage right in the first place, and what might have been okay in the past is no longer okay. This was over what's called a 1 in 100 year event. It indicates these climate events and instability will throw these things at us. In this situation, it wasn't just a flood event, it was a complete ground saturation event, and it also brought forward other issues such as blocked easements and other issues that council has been working on, and we've addressed not only with this allocating this money with overs to get this work done, but also,
Councillor Gamble.
yeah, I have a little bit longer to finish this point.
Just a couple more, just quickly tying up. You've gone well back there for a little bit, but if you want to just.
I thought I just went over. I've lost my train of thought there, but so I'll finish it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gamble. Councillor Kirby.
Thank you. Yes, I just go along with everything Councillor Gamble has said. These poor people were just absolutely devastated by these floods, and we were all there to see and hear the emotion that was in these poor people. I'd like to thank them, though, for their follow-up work they've done with council. They've put ideas forward, they've come up with some great ideas, and I think that council has taken it on board. As I said, we've cleaned out gutters, we've cleaned out the culverts to improve drainage, and I think this is a big eye-opener for everyone in the Shire that we must keep our drains and gutters cleaned out. We are responsible for the culverts on the front of our driveways, so we must keep them nice and clean. Going on though, I'd still like to say that I really look forward to this contract being awarded, and that we all move ahead, and the folks from Inverleigh can move ahead with their lives, knowing that hopefully in the future they will not be impacted again. So fingers crossed that what the works that we do will benefit for the long term of the Shire. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kirby. Councillors, would anyone like to speak against the motion? With nobody speaking against the motion, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, councillors. Item 7.6. Traditional owner naming for council reserves. Councillors, page 37 of the agenda for this report. We have a recommendation which I'll take as read. Are there any questions, councillors? If there's no questions, councillors, I will seek a mover to a motion. Moved Councillor Robbins, seconded Councillor Hayden. Thank you very much, Councillor Robbins.
Thank you. This is a proposal to name 3 council reserves with Wadawurrung names. It's fitting that this item comes to us during Reconciliation Week because returning traditional owner language to country is an important act of reconciliation. I think Yarrat Jarrattmilly Win in particular is a beautiful name that's been selected to recognise a really significant traditional owner event, that being the use of cultural burning being returned to country. Cultural burning is a traditional practice used by Wadawurrung people to restore and heal sick country. Following the process in the official naming rules for places in Victoria, this will now go for public exhibition and feedback from the local community will be reviewed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Robbins. Councillor Hayden.
Thank you. Yeah, totally agree with everything Councillor Robbins has said. And I think further renaming reserves to the traditional owner language is so deeply important for First Nations people in Australia for many reasons, including practical, cultural, emotional and political. It restores cultural identity. Place names in traditional owner languages reflect the deep spiritual, historical and ecological connection First Nations people have to their country. Colonisation often erased these names, replacing them with foreign ones. Restoring traditional names is an act of reclaiming culture, identity and language, things that have been actively suppressed. It honours their ancestors and stories. Traditional place names often hold stories, dreaming tracks and knowledge about the land, where to find water, which areas are sacred, and where certain events have occurred. Using these names acknowledges the wisdom of generations and honours ancestors who walked these lands. Renaming reserves in traditional owner languages sends a powerful message of respect, recognition and reconciliation. It acknowledges the sovereignty of First Nations people and that these lands were never ceded. It also encourages non-Indigenous Australians to learn and to use First Nations languages, promoting cultural understanding and reconciliation. Healing and empowerment. For many First Nations people, seeing their language and place names officially recognised can be a very emotional step towards healing. It empowers communities, strengthens pride in identity, and affirms that their culture is living, not lost. Many First Nations languages are endangered. Place naming is a practical and public way to breathe life into language use, particularly for the younger generations who are learning or reconnecting with their heritage. In short, I echo what Councillor Robbins says. Renaming these reserves isn't just symbolic, it's an act of truth-telling, justice, and culture survival. It puts First Nations people and cultures back at the centre of the places that they have always belonged to.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hayden. Would anyone like to speak against the motion?
I'd like to speak for it, please.
The opportunity, Councillor Gamble, it is against government. Will just be, yep, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to note that the 3 reserves proposed only have colloquial names at present. And the names selected, proposed, have followed a collaborative and rigorous process and now been put to a public exhibition phase through July, which I fully support, and thank all parties involved. But speaking generally, I want to support the recognising and the benefits of acknowledging and respecting culture and language through naming, as Councillor Hayden spoke eloquently on. The language and naming of First Australians, and in particular the Wadawurrung Nation people, the traditional owners of most of the land occupied Golden Plains Shire. It's an interesting fact is there are 38 distinct languages spoken in Victoria. yeah, I think it's a powerful way of acknowledging the traditional owners. Thank you.
Very much, Councillor Gamble. With no one speaking against the motion, I will put it to a vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 7.7, Road Management Plan 2025 to 2029 review. Councillors, page 46 of the agenda. We have a recommendation there. Is there any questions, councillors? No questions. Would anyone like to put the motion? Councillor Gamble moving the motion and a councillor seconding it. Anyone? Councillor Robbins, thank you very much. Councillor Gamble.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the plan is out for community feedback through June, basically. I'm keen to endorse this plan because this review. I think many in the community would find this document plan engaging with, it's got many explanatory diagrams and useful in understanding the issues and criteria and system that council employs to assess and respond to road maintenance issues, which, as we know, is a big area of concern with many of our residents. So just as a cyclist, I noticed that there was no particular mention of cycling in it, but that's one area where I will endeavour to contribute to the plan as it goes forward. If I have my way, every town would have a safe cycling road or loop around the township where people can go on, where roads can be upgraded with shoulders at corners and signage, etc., to be safer. But these are sort of issues and ideas that could be put forward as part of the review of the plan going out to exhibition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gamble. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you. Yeah, this plan sets out how roads in the Shire will be inspected and maintained. It's been reviewed and some changes have been made with a view to making it up to date, making it clear and reducing some of the risks involved in road management. So it'll go for public consultation so people can take a look at the draft and make submissions. Thank you.
Very much, Councillor Robbins. Councillors, would anyone like to speak against the motion? No one speaking against the motion. I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 7.8, agenda page 50. We have a recommendation there, councillors, for the lease agreement approval request. Is there any questions? No questions. Would anyone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Gamble moving the recommendation and seconding the recommendation. Councillor Robbins, thank you very much. Councillor Gamble.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is basically an agreement to likely use the land for an Optus mobile tower or telecommunications facility in the future, if deemed necessary. I trust the appropriate authorities in Victoria have regulations based on best science and consideration of given to precautionary principles, etc. Because I do, however, note that there are rules and regulations for placement of mobile towers are different in other states, such as I think Queensland has one where towers shouldn't be located within 0.5 kilometre, for example, from schools and preschools. But this location is quite central in Lethbridge, but there's no immediate houses within about 100 metres. So I recommend that we approve this, support this recommendation. Thank you.
Very much, Councillor Gamble. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you. So we've had a few of these communications leases items on the agenda here. So getting quite used to these ones. And I'll just say it is good to sort of have this improved connectivity and telecommunications coverage in Shire.
Very much, Councillor Robbins. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? No one speaking against the motion. I'll put the motion forward. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. Item 7.9, the Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes, dated the 13th of May 2025, page 54, councillors. Is there any questions to the Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes? If there are no questions to the officers, would anyone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Kirby, thank you very much. Would anyone like to second motion? Thank you very much, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Kirby, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I was filling in as acting mayor and I attended the Audit and Risk meeting, and it was it's just good to catch up with to see some of the new faces that are on board, and I think going forward it's a good opportunity for every councillor to sit on the Audit and Risk Committee meetings. There was 14 items on the agenda of it, and it varied from climate change, the climate change emergency plan update, to cybersecurity and a follow-up on actions that have not been actioned at present. Fraud and corruption training is provided to all, and I think that even cyber stuff as well is something that we as councillors also have, we're party to as well. This ensures that our council are meeting its legislative obligations and for good governance for the future of our Shire. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kirby. Councillor Hayden.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillors, does anyone want to speak against the motion? With that in mind, I will put the motion to a vote. Thank you very much. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 7.10, councillor expenses and meeting attendance report, quarter 3, on page 56 of the agenda. Are there any questions, councillors? Would anyone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Robbins moving the recommendation and seconded by Councillor Gamble. Thank you very much, Councillor Robbins.
Thank you. I just want to point out again that we are underspending the training budget. As councillors, we really need to have a growth mindset and a culture of professional development. Councillors should be encouraging one another to improve their knowledge and skills, and that includes undertaking training that comes at a cost. So that's something for us to work on, but happy to note the report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Robbins. Councillor Gamble.
Yeah, thank you. So I attended Anzac Day services at Teesdale.
Councillor Gamble seconding the motion of the councillor expenses and attendance report.
Jumping ahead there. Pardon me. Yes, I second.
Would you like to speak to that one?
No, that's okay.
Thank you very much. Councillor, would anyone like to speak against the motion? No one speaking against the motion. I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 7.11, delegates report. I'll take this one as read and I'll look for a mover of this motion. Councillor Robbins, seconded by Councillor Gamble. Thank you very much. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you. I attended the Municipal Association of Victoria State Council meeting. This event brings together delegates from each council in Victoria to debate and vote on motions significant to the local government sector. My motion called on the MAV to support councils in condemning online misinformation and abuse. I rose to speak on this motion, noting the corrosive impact that online misinformation and abuse can have on local democracy. There was broad agreement in the room that misinformation and abuse is a problem, but there was much debate over the actions MAV should take to combat it. An amended motion was eventually carried with the support of 78% of delegates. While MAV does have a role to play, it is up to us as councillors to make sure our work in here is focused on the right things and not to be misled about what our role is and should be. I've got a lot of hope and confidence that we're heading in the right direction. Another motion was on the Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund, calling on MAV to advocate for a number of changes to the levy's implementation, including changes to make the levy burden more equitable for rural communities and farmers. I voted in favour. This council, along with many others, voted unanimously in February to oppose the ESVF as designed, but it was adopted by the state government with only minor amendments. As a volunteer firefighter myself, I know that many brigade members feel frustrated and powerless as a result, with some taking themselves offline for emergency response. For my part, I will still turn out with my brigade for the protection of our community. I also attended a number of community events this month, which are listed in the written report as part of the meeting agenda, so I won't monopolise the speaking time. Suffice it to say that during a personally challenging month, I've been extremely fortunate to be able to spend a lot of time surrounded by my community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Robbins. Councillor Gamble.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just noting that I attended the Teesdale Anzac Day service, which was bigger than normal with the turnout several hundred. It was a particularly solemn occasion since the where the flag ceremonial place is adjacent to the where the now spontaneous community memorial honouring the death of 6-year-old Caleb is. I went to after that I went to the Shelford community service. While smaller, it was a very warm occasion with afterwards with breakfast with bacon, eggs, scrambled eggs, etc. served, and noting flowers from the community garden were there, and they showed me the massive cracks in the old hall there too. At Meredith, there was over 200 people there. It was quite big with a lot of community involvement, including scouts and school groups, with a full march around the block there, and returned to the hall with Kevin Blake, an ex-councillor, emceed the service, and there was even the New Zealand national anthem was performed really well live. Additionally, I attended a She Oaks roadside meeting, which I supplied a report to the other councillors about. And I also attended Friends of Inverleigh Nature Conservation Reserve meeting and various Teesdale Community Coordinator meetings. And also, as a delegate, I attended as a proxy for Councillor Cunningham on the Tourism Greater Geelong and Bellarine board meeting, which was a really interesting and professional sort of meeting. Thank you.
Very much, Councillor Gamble. Any other councillors like to speak to the delegates' report? Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, first of all, I'd just like to say that I attended the public meeting at the Baruna Hall regarding the Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund. This will affect every person who resides in the Golden Plains Shire, from farmers to businesses to renters and families. Once again, we cannot stress how much emphasis this is going to have on these people. We have to work as a council together to come up with a good proposal, I think, and we're seeing that around around Victoria. And I think we all need to take it on board and look after our residents. I'd also like to say that I attended the peri-urban group of councils. Once again, they are having a strategy going ahead at the next meeting. So this will be in regards to the state election for future funds. The Golden Plains Shire's priorities will need to be addressed. And I think at the moment, our main issue is transport. We know that rail was especially, it was a number one topic that we had with the opposition party last time when the state elections were on. So I think we really have to flag that we could get the rail back from Geelong to Ballarat. We have to flag it for tourism especially. We know that we have the Avalon Airport, we have the Tasmanian boat that parks in Geelong, and we know that these are key issues for our Shire regarding tourism as well.
Yes, Kirby, just a delegate's report in terms of where you've been, what you've done, as opposed to your political stance on items, please.
Well, I'm just stating a point that we need to really focus on this. We need to make sure that we do have low value, high impact items going forward for our Shire. I also went to the meeting with you, Councillor Sharkey, leading with integrity. This fosters a strong councillor and CEO relationship. This is what we learnt. We've got to have strong relationships with them. We know that as former councillors, but just so that the other newer councillors are on board. We have to have shared visions and goals with our CEO to have strong and productive outcomes for our communities. We have to have well thought out decision making, and we know that because we do our council plans and we go through that every 4 years. So we need to look at the big picture. Some of the other things was greater collaboration and well thought out decision making. So we know that we do that with the CEO and the staff. The CEO recruitment and selection, that was another big topic on the agenda when looking for a new CEO.
Thank you
The
very much.
performance management and expectations of the CEO.
Thanks. Thank you.
Sorry. We're also upholding councillor conduct and accountability. So that was another one on the agenda.
You're clearly
Sorry.
Clearly talking over. You've gone over time. If you could just wrap up in the next few.
Oh, okay. And the other last item on that agenda was preventing fraud and corruption. So once again, we do that with our audit and risk. And just finally, the Meredith History Group I had a fantastic day going to see them. They always put on a great exhibition at the old Shire Hall at Lethbridge, and anyone who's going through there, please make sure you take notice and see if they're having exhibitions in the future. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kirby. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak? I will just quickly note that I too attended that fast track session there, leading on integrity with Councillor Kirby, and I think Councillor Kirby would strongly agree with me in the sentiment that Councillor Robbins expressed there before, that investing time and effort in such sessions such as that does add a lot of growth set mentality to us as a whole group. So it was very well attended and a great session. Also attended the Bannockburn community consultation there, which was a great way to interact with the people down at Bannockburn Market, with several other councillors that were in attendance actually on election day too, wasn't it? That was. Also attended GRLC meeting. So a good month all round. Thank you very much, councillors. I will take that there as I put that to a vote. If there's no one else further to speak, I'll put the motion to a vote. Thank you. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you. With no Notices of motion, no petitions or no urgent business.
Excuse me, could we have a division on that, please? You have lost councillor Phelan.
Yes, sorry, councillor Phelan has dropped out. The motion has passed. Councillor Phelan dropped out during that last session there. So we're trying to get him there, but he doesn't appear to be reappearing. And we're up to item number 10, which is a confidential report for decision. There is one confidential item for consideration tonight. These items are considered confidential as defined in section 3 of the Local Government Act. Can either councillor please move that we move into a closed session? Moved councillor Kirby, seconded councillor Robbins. All those in favour? Thank you.